What do you do when the universe brings the force of change into your life that you just, at this point, cannot fight or ignore? You can use logic or the pressures of societal standards to suppress this change, but the soul can give a rat's ass about any of that. So when the illusion of your persona begins to break, that transition is going to feel agonizing and also extremely destructive. That's why today I want to give you 5 insights that I give to my clients to guide you through this transition. This so you can actually finally step into your sovereign identity without completely destroying your life. Let's begin with number 1, which is accept what's coming. And this is one of the most difficult things when you're getting close to your 30s, you start to hit your 30s, and all of a sudden there's this feeling within you that everything you've suppressed, the parts of yourself that has wanted to live, is now screaming. And in fact, you feel almost like God or the universe is orchestrating these coincidences, synchronicities that are calling on to you to step forward, to make the courageous decision to actually let that part of yourself live. It is a force of nature. And if you've experienced it or are experiencing it right now, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But what you have to remember is you have to flow with the current. This is my illustration. Something that's just like a river, the riverbank, and it's moving and it's going and it's powerful. If you try to fight against it, you will lose. And fighting against it could mean denying what's coming. If that part of you wants to live and you're just consistently fighting it, rejecting it, trying to bend it to your will using your mind, then it will implode on you. Now, how that looks, I'm not really quite sure. It can depend. You can try really hard to suppress it, and perhaps you do, but then some months later, some years later, all of a sudden you start developing some ailments, some craving for particular addictions. All of a sudden, the things that you used to enjoy, you don't really enjoy anymore. Who knows how it can manifest? But there is no way, if there's one thing I've learned after coaching many individuals on this path and having gone through it myself, is you cannot reach your hand into the fabric of the universe, try to bend it and twist it and have it not recoil and come back against you. It absolutely almost always does. And so allow yourself to go with what's happening, not meaning you're going to just willingly let whatever is happening happen, right? Not being passive. That's another opposite end of the extreme. You want to be able to move with it, try to make sense of what's going on and make the best decision possible as you navigate. Your old script will be fighting to survive, by the way. Absolutely. If, let's say, your script was the good man, you've always wanted to be that noble individual in your community. But because you've been doing that for so long, your people pleasing has really skyrocketed. You haven't been able to actually put yourself first and really decide what it is you want to do in your life. You've always usurped your position as king, and instead you've always just tried to make sure everyone is happy, but really what it's been about is making sure the rest of the people around you can maintain and sustain that script that you've been holding, that you are now getting sick and tired of. But it's not always that version. It can also be the script that wants to fight is going to be the one that wants to jump into music, the thing you've been craving to do for your whole life. Maybe start that business, but you've been in a career and the fear of stepping out of that is the unknown. What if my provider role vanishes? What if I can't pay for my life and pay for the people around me that I care about? Maybe I got to change careers. I thought I wanted to be this particular person. Maybe I wanted to go into IT or tech, but then really I just felt like I maybe wanted it for some time. Maybe it served its purpose, but I want to go into something different. So the script doesn't just have to be the one that you've adopted right now. It could be also the emergence of the new script that is trying to live and come forward into your life. Number 2, although you're going to feel this way, you are not crazy. You're just going through something that is very difficult to interpret and understand until everything has already passed. And the reason why you're going to feel crazy, okay, I'm just going to lay it out for you, because coincidences will begin to just pile up one on top of the other. When a meaningful coincidence, as Carl Jung would phrase it, would arrive in your life at that exact moment, at exactly the time you needed it, you're going to be, overwhelmed. You're going to say, oh, wow, like what are the odds of this happening? And I don't want to go into a whole orchestrated scenario, but I'm sure you can look into your own life and you can maybe think of movies or something and how that can be illustrated. But where you begin to almost lose it is when these things happen one after the other. Not exactly minute by minute, but in the span of maybe weeks, in the span of maybe a couple months, it is happening so frequently that you're beginning to wonder if God is actually communicating with you. And if you're one that was, let's say, more neutral about the topic of God and the universe, you accept the idea that there is a force, this experience will actually make you look at that and say, is someone communicating with me right now? Like, am I actually supposed to look at this and take it in? I don't even know what to do with it. And so that will absolutely just get your mind running. Your body's going to feel overwhelmed, awe-inspired. So that's partly why you're going to feel that way. Also, your emotions are going to be all over the place. One day you're going to feel excited about all of a sudden now being inspired and courageous enough to seek, to go into music, go into art, go into whatever it is you've always wanted to do, but never felt like you could. You'll feel excited. But then on other days, you'll feel extremely fearful. What if you're completely wrong? What if you're missing the mark altogether? Maybe some days you'll feel angry. It is absolutely normal, and I'll explain at the end what you can do when these things are happening. And your thoughts will be running wild as well. The what if scenarios, mind reading, fortune telling, it's just going to completely consume you while all these things are happening. And understand that this is all normal, right? It's meant to be crazy. It's meant to be like all these things are happening. You're just trying to piece it all together. But the absolute best advice I can give you right now, and by the way, if you want more information, more in-depth discussion, down below, I got that waitlist launching very soon, only in a few more weeks, my Sovereign Brotherhood community. And inside that community, I have my Sovereign integration system, helping you transition from your old scripts that have kept you locked and imprisoned and transition you into now embodying your full sovereign power and actually being able to live a life that you feel inspired and excited by. So if you want to know more about it and get the full thing, down below, I got that waitlist. All of it is for free, by the way. You are going to observe it without engagement. This is where the power of it really lies. When the emotions come in, naturally people want to tangle with it. When you feel angry, you then associate imagery to it. You start to believe it's like, yeah, you should be feeling angry right now and I should act on it and do all these things. Or if a thought comes in of a what if scenario, you start to plan for that what if scenario. This is you, in a story sense, the sailor who had to tie himself to the post because the sirens were calling, the mermaids that lure men into the water and then they drown them. This is that scenario. You are going to be pulled in all sorts of different directions, but you have to stay inside your center as much as possible. Witness yourself feeling the emotion, witness yourself seeing these thoughts, allow them to pass. Do not act on any of them. Never act. Never make decisions while that is running, while your brain's running wild, while your emotions are not regulated. Do not do anything. Simply allow it to go through. Once the storm passes, then things will become a lot more clear. Anchor yourself to the horizon of who you are stepping into. Embrace the unlived life. Now that you are finally feeling this awakened sense, and you're looking forward and you're noticing the parts that I get to maybe finally step into and become and manifest and express, whether that be business, like I said, art, doesn't matter. It's very important that you maintain that as your anchor. That's your North Star. Because if you don't, it's very natural to get caught up in everything in between that, and it can feel very monumental and almost too much that you'd rather just retreat back. You have to also embrace the not yet integrated parts. If you were the good man who always just allowed kind of people to do whatever they want, and you put other people first, simply just more so out of script running, not that you don't want to be selfish. There's nothing wrong with being selfish every once in a while, right? It's more so having the ability to discern between, okay, now it's time for me to put myself first versus theirs. Looking at that other side, the anchor, the horizon, and saying, Imagine what my life can look like if I can actually just say no and not feel bad about it. I am not going to help this person right now. I have too much on my plate. And however they react, whether they react in disappointment and confusion as to, oh, why are you acting different? I thought this is where you are unaffected because you're no longer being run by your trauma, run by that old narrative. Sorry, I literally almost actually swallowed my tongue on that one. So just to give you a visual, this is you with your old script. Let's say the good man script, the provider, protector. You awaken. You start to see how confined it is. And you can start to see across to the other side of what you can actually step into. This is not, it could be a visual, it could be a vision, it could be a feeling, a sensation. Everyone's different in terms of how they experience it. And this is when you get to that sovereign script, the part of yourself that's still the good man, but you're now integrating the parts of you that says, I'm putting myself first here. And that's just too bad. You have to anchor here because if you don't, everything that I call the messy middle will become just so overwhelming. The conflict you're going to have to go through, the rejection, the loss, the fear, you name it, it will feel like a lot. And this is often what I call the desert. The desert is that period in between where it just feels like confusing. What is going on? What am I to do? And the only thing you're going off of is just the horizon. It's just that feeling internally, the soul, the gut that's moving you there. You can feel the peace associated with it when you visualize this version of yourself. Embrace that you will not be understood. And this one is a tough one. Depending on your script, it is probably the most difficult. You have to also remember that people do not like change. In general, no one likes change. And so when this is happening and they start to witness differences within you, that you may be acting different, to some people it'll feel like overnight, like you're having like some psychotic episode. You're going to have all sorts of criticism, judgment, fear, and those that are around you, they're going to feel concerned, and rightfully so. I mean, like they don't understand what's going on. And it's very hard for you to explain. As you try to explain it, they're going to think you've gone crazy. Especially, let's say you've been one that has a pretty predictable, stable life. Maybe you've had the same career, same job, same family, and all of a sudden you're just up and feeling this insane awakening as to what you have been suppressing for so long, and you've tied it all together in context inside your own inner world, and you're trying to manifest moving forward. But to them, from the outside looking in, all they're seeing is this person was stable, this person had a predictable income, and all of a sudden they're just trying to flip it on its head. Why? One thing to know, it is not on you to explain it in detail. You are the king of your own life. You are the sovereign of your own life. You factor in their emotions. You don't have to be rude about it, dismissive, but you can simply explain that this is just something you have to transition into. There is no other choice for me. It is affecting my well-being if I don't. And whether they accept it or not is their choice. They want you to stay the way they are comfortable with. We like predictability. And so when someone in their life was a very predictable, everyday type of person, they're used to change is like, whoa, what's going on? Who is this? It feels like you're uprooting their life. And in some ways you are. And that's just one of the things about integration and moving towards your fullest self, your integrated self. It's not clean. It really is not clean. There are going to be people you're going to upset, and there are going to be people you're going to just shift and change their life. And this is why most people don't do it. Because why do you want to be that villain in their eyes? Especially if it's a change that's very kind of radical and different, but it feels absolutely right. There's a deep knowing within you that says, I have to do this. It will throw them off, and you will be causing some level of destruction. And that's just unavoidable. And most would rather just step back into that old script, continue moving on with their life, and build a well of resentment and bitterness and frustration and coping mechanisms. You will feel the pressure of society and cultural norms coming in at you, and they're going to try to compress you, put you back to the box that they're used to. But remember, when this change comes, it is not a desperate change, or at least don't allow it to be. When there's that certainty that you are moving in this direction, the current is pulling you here, and you believe and you feel this is a force of God, force of nature, force of the universe, you don't need to fight. You don't need to resist. You just go with it. But in calm, peaceful, centered state. Because you know what's going to happen anyway. And that is the one thing that you can at least give those around you. And you have to remember, do not sacrifice your sovereign power to keep them comfortable in their scripts. They have a script. People around you have a script. And it's not just they box themselves into it. If they mirror and they see somebody who is actually witnessing themselves try to break free, that's like, man, that's an ugly thing for a lot of people to witness, because it's going to just reflect back at them, and they're going to have to ask themselves hard questions or not ask them at all. And the easiest thing to do is just to ignore, judge, criticize, make you out to be a fool. It's just much easier for them. Soul alignment first, then heart and mind. This one is going to be what allows you to navigate through this process in a way that is not going to destroy everything in your life. And also make sure that you stay on that narrow path and not fall over or retreat back into your old ways. Follow the peace that resides in your soul and gut. If you tap into that deepest part of you and you visualize, is this path leading to a place where I want to be and become truly, really? If you reside in there and rest in it, if it brings you peace, calm, certainty, and knowing, that is your guiding compass. You make decisions based on that feeling. As time goes on, there'll be certain situations and choices that come about. How you make the choices first structures on that foundation. Then you incorporate your heart, then you incorporate your mind. Remember, the heart is the resonator, the one that allows you to connect with other people, to feel empathy, sympathy, to allow you to experience life more vividly, to allow you to experience all range of emotion. And then you have your mind, which is the tactician, the strategist, the one that allows you to actually plan and move things forward, paints a picture of how things can work out. If you do it in the other way around, if you use your mind during this process, it'll completely freak you out, because the ego will just simply want to protect you. And this idea, this transition of ego death into the new sovereign you it's going to say, what the hell are you doing? You're out of your mind. So if you listen to this, you're screwed. But if you reside in the soul does not care about any of that stuff. It doesn't. All it cares about is to express. Inside my sovereign integration system, I talk about how the soul, the foundation, its primary being is to express. It's to bloom. And it wants whoever it's residing within to blossom to its full, integrated self, having all parts aware to the individual. It really does not care what you think about how this person's going to feel or how this is going to be affecting you in this way. Maybe there'll be some financial bumps along the road. It doesn't care about any of that stuff. It really doesn't. All it cares about is to live. Develop your faith during this process. And I'm going to talk about one thing at the end, my mantra that I say to myself. Do not be passive or desperate. And what we talked about earlier, I don't want to reiterate, but simply while this transition is occurring, do not just sit back and think it's going to happen for you. No, the universe and God will present you the opportunity. It'll make it so crystal clear, but you have to take action on it. But you also do not want to take action on it desperately. And so the way you can frame it in the morning or throughout the day is I say FPC, faith, patience, and courage. Have the faith that the universe and God will present things to you in a way that will be crystal clear to you in the moment as to what you should be doing moving forward. Have the patience for the result and for this period of the desert to pass. It will pass. Just be patient, follow that soul, follow the gut. And courage. The courage to act. Thank you very much, everybody. Don't forget, down below, join the waitlist for the Sovereign Brotherhood community. It's going to be a free community with my free module for the integration system. And inside that community, we're going to do weekly group calls every Sunday to help you guys navigate through this process. And even beyond that, to be able to actually step into a world where you're feeling like you have more range to yourself, that you're not being confined into a script and what other people are telling you to confine yourself into. And then inside that community, anyone that wants to have this run through way quicker with my guidance directly, I do one-on-one sessions, as well as I'm going to be opening up private group sessions, saving you a ton of time. I'll see you guys on the next video.